I always find it funny how the YouTube Bible thumpers seem to think that all it takes to convert someone is to repeat the same shit over and over again, like it's the Jedi mind trick and their Obi-Wan Kenobi. What they fail to realize is that scripture and repetition can't compare to the force lightning that is empirical evidence. You'd think that after such a vicious logical attack that the Fundies would retreat back to their preachers, seeking to have their bruised egos stroked until the bad atheists go away. This, at least, would give us a little peace and quiet before they build up enough confidence to start spouting off again. However, many of these fucktards have convinced themselves that God has entered a cheat code in their favor, which allows them to ignore evidence and provides them with unlimited bullshit to fling in the direction of non-believers. This ignorance armor has one fatal flaw to it. Putting it on makes the wearer deaf, blind, and dumb as a fucking brick. This may also account for the poor choice of intellectual weaponry chosen by these godtards. One such weapon I've noticed is one often used by our dim-witted friend Nick, better known as Mystical Forest. Nick's chosen to wield a flamethrower against his enemies, which would have been a good choice had he not filled the napalm canister with manure, which results in Nick spraying bullshit in every direction. Then there's Cassie Dill, who I thought was genuinely as stupid as she sounded at first. But after having to stomach most of her videos, I came to the conclusion that she must be nothing more than a sub-whore. No one can be that fucking retarded and still be able to breathe without being reminded to do so. Then again, I could be wrong, and if that's the case, then Cassie's mental weapon would have to be a Nerf bat, because she'd more than likely hurt herself more than anyone else. And last on my list is Raven Gage Smith, who's a proud member of the True Forced Loneliness group. Raven is an ironic oddity because, as a God-fearing creationist, he seems to think that clubbing a woman over the head and dragging her back to his cave is an acceptable form of dating. Living proof that natural selection is still an influential force even in today's society. He doesn't really apply when it comes to an intellectual arsenal. He'll just throw at whatever crosses his minuscule mind with no real strategy or cunning. Though as bigoted and asinine as he is, I've always had a hard time keeping a straight face when I watch his videos, because all I have to do is imagine that he's the bastard child of Shirley Phelps Roper and Elmer Fudd. Well, that's about all the stupid my brain can handle for now, but before I leave you all to get an aspirin, I'd like to point out that whether they're stupid, full of shit, or fucking nuts, as George Carlin so eloquently put it, all of these intellectual absentees share two things in common. Their blind faith makes them impossible to reason with, and their mouths are directly connected to their asses. So stay tuned, because next time we'll take a closer look at some of Nick's nonsense and why he's completely batshit.